Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Keep Your Power, brought to you by Promise Resource Network. My name is Sharon Galuski, and I'm excited to be here today. I'm always excited when I teach, so that is part of my passion, and I'm glad you all are here today. Before we get into the topic of depression, I want to give you some numbers, right? I promise depression is kind of a bummer to talk about on a Friday going into the weekend, but I promise we'll have solution before we're done today, okay? So the first number I want to give you is our warm line. Our warm line is 24/7. If you want to call us at 3 a.m. on Sunday, we're here. Noon on Wednesday, we're here, right? 24 hours a day, every day. If you need to vent, process, get resources, all of these things, find out about our programs, call the warm line. What we're going to talk about today, depression, is the warm line can be a tool in your arsenal. So if you need us, call us. Tell us about happy things too. That's great. Okay, that number is 833-390-7728. That's 833-390-7728. The other number I want to give you is our front desk number. Kim is fabulous. So when you call the front desk number, if you have questions about the services we provide, if you need to get in touch with somebody specifically, call Kim. She can help out. She can get the messages to us. She can help identify what service you may be interested in. So give Kim a call, and that number is 704-390-7709. All right. So, depression. Dun, dun, dun. Not fun stuff, most definitely. Depression is a mood disorder that causes a persistent feeling of sadness and loss of interest. Sadness and loss of interest. I'm not sure if you've had the experience of depression, but I most certainly have. So it's a mood disorder. It's a disorder affecting mood and general outlook. Loss of interest in activities, feeling sad, are symptoms that characterize this condition. Although most people feel sad and down for brief periods, clinical depression is more than just a sad feeling. It's a serious medical condition, and people aren't able to just get over it. I don't know if anybody's ever told you before when you were in a depressed moment, but pull yourself up by your bootstraps doesn't work if you don't have bootstraps, right? Get over it doesn't work if you don't have the tools to get to the other side of something. So that stigma that sometimes society has that says when I'm depressed, maybe I'm lazy or have significant issues that are incurable. These things, they may judge us on that, but it's a true medical condition. And it takes some effort and action to get to the other side of it. All right? So it says depression is a serious mental condition. It can cause lasting issues that include employment problems. It's hard to go to work when you can't get out of bed, right? Strain on relationships. I know that I'm hard to be around when I'm depressed because I'm not me. And it's really hard for me to engage in a positive way which can affect other people. So that strain on relationships can be very, can be big, Drug and alcohol abuse, going to those coping skills that don't work the best, that aren't as beneficial to us as other things. What I didn't know about depression when I pre-recovery was that alcohol is a depressant. So the more I drank to get happy, the more depressed I got. I was one of those crying drunks, nobody likes that. It says suicidal thoughts or attempts. We can get to that desperation spot. And there is no shame in that. There is no shame in that. It's where depression can take us. So we want to be able to do something that helps us, right? Let's see. I hate this word, symptoms. Common characteristics. How about that? Common characteristics of depression are sadness, tiredness. It is exhausting being depressed. It is so tiring. Every effort seems to take so much energy that it seems impossible. Trouble focusing and concentrating, brain fog. I definitely get that. When I'm depressed, I have a hard time concentrating. I have a hard time doing my work. I have a hard time doing being around people because I'm just not there. I have a hard time, especially on the job, because when I'm unable to focus, I'm unable to do a really good job. And that is one of the things that depression does to me. It affects my employment. And you all know how much I love working here. So I got to understand that part. Hey, Jennifer. Good to see you. Let's see, unhappiness, anger. Anger can come out in depression, right? That powerlessness of depression can make us angry. We can be angry at ourselves. We can be angry at depression. We can be angry at other people because they don't understand how to help us. Anger is a natural reaction. For me, anger has been in the past my most comfortable emotion because I understood it. Anger was my go-to instead of sadness. I was more comfortable in anger than I was in depression because anger gave me energy, and that's what I desperately needed. Right? So anger can be a part of our depression. Irritability, absolutely. Frustration with myself because I can't or won't or whatever. Frustration is really high for me. I get frustrated with myself that I can't get over it, that I can't pull myself up by my bootstraps. I get discouraged and frustrated because what the world says the answer is seems to be impossible. Melissa, thank you. Thank you for being here. Loss of pleasurable or fun activities. I don't want to do anything. I can't think of anything that is fun. I can't think of anything I want to do. I just lay there, confused, down. Hey, Mary, good to see you. All right. Sleep issues, too much or too little. No energy, we talked about. Craving unhealthy foods, too much or too little. Anxiety can be a big one as well, just like anger. It can be one of the characteristics of depression that fear. For me, it's the fear that this will never end, right? When I get into those states, I'm afraid that it's never going to change, that I'm always going to feel this way. I don't know about you, but that's how it works with me. I'm anxious. I'm anxious for solution, but I'm afraid I'll never get it. The last one is isolation. That has a lot to do with my being depressed, right? Depression causes us we don't want to be alone, but it seems we have to be alone. It's too exhausting to try to be around people. It is so tiring to try to get out of bed, to try to do something I'm responsible for. So that isolation happens a lot. When I'm alone, there is no wrong way to recover, but there sure shit is a harder way, and that's alone. When I isolate, it makes my depression so much bigger because I'm not getting energy. I'm relying on my energy, which is tapped out, right? So, good to see you, everybody. Mary, Melissa, Jennifer. I'm glad you are here. Keep talking. Keep talking. So, what causes depression? What are some of the reasons behind depression? Genetics is one. Depression can be an inherited condition. If there's somebody in my family that has depression, I may be more likely to have depression myself because of the genetic connection. Why this occurs is not really known right now, but it does. It has been demonstrated statistically that people whose family members, blood relations, have depression can trickle down to us. The heirlooms of our family. Okay, biochemical is another one. Some people have noticeable changes in our brains with depression. The potential isn't really understood, okay? But it suggests depression starts with brain function. Some psychiatrists look at brain chemistry with cases of depression. So it is the brain, specifically serotonin and dopamine, feelings of happiness and pleasure, and may be out of balance when we're depressed. So there is that chemical component, the biochemical aspect of it, where I'm just, how can I explain it? I am off balanced. Something in me, in my brain, doesn't function the way it used to, right? This doesn't have to be a permanent thing. It can happen with depression. So antidepressants can work to balance us out, right? Not everybody chooses medication, and that's fabulous. When medication can help in some instances, but it is not mandatory. It is not mandatory. Oh, absolutely. Mary says having a family member that is physically ill can cause depression. Other people in our lives, the things they're going through. Tanisha, good to see you. Glad you are here today. So we've got that we need that balance of neurotransmitters, mainly serotonin, the happy juices, right? I want more of that. There are things I can do to increase that too naturally, right? So we don't necessarily need medication for those of us that don't want medication, but we probably will have to do some extra effort, right? Hormonal changes. Now, if you're lucky, you'll see me flash today, which is great because I turn all red and people think I'm having a major physical reaction. But changes in hormone production or functioning can lead to depressive states. Things like menopause, childbirth, thyroid problems, and other disorders. There's been a link between thyroid and depression. And I think that's amazing because that we thought was here can be in our body. It can be the hormones. It can be our genetic disposition. It can be our brain chemistry. These are physical things that affect us. Seasonal issues as well. When the day's shorter, some of us have seasonal affective disorder, where as the days get shorter, we get more depressed. We're not getting that vitamin D. We're not getting what we need in the sunlight. I'm much better in the summer than I am in the winter. I love the sunshine. It makes such a difference in my attitude and my actions. So, sun is good. And then situational. It says trauma, a big change or struggle in life can trigger a case of depression. Losing a loved one, being fired, having financial troubles, or undergoing a serious change can have a big impact on people. Like Mary was saying, caring for an ill relative or friend can cause us that depression. Losing a loved one, having to watch a loved one have difficulties, can bring on our depression. Tanisha says, what are tools you can use when medication doesn't help? How can you deal with people who make you feel like it's your fault for the condition of depression? Okay, we are going to get to things we can do. We're going to get to solution, right? So, and again, it's a choice with medication. When I take action, it makes all the difference in the world. And we're going to talk about some action we can take, Tanisha. I promise. So that's situational. And you know what? Everybody has a different journey. And the cool thing is, if it does in these categories, I'm an expert on myself. I know me better than anyone. And I know when I need help. I know when I need to do something that will help me feel better. Right? Okay. So, risk factors of depression. Many factors increase our risk of developing depression. They include being a woman. More women are diagnosed with depression than men. Having low self-esteem. Having that barrier, that burden of just being so self-loathing. When we don't like ourselves, it makes it easier for depression to sneak in. All right. Hey, Jennifer. She says, for me, depression felt like life was covered in drenched wool blanket. Oh, I love that. I love that description. And it is so true. It is like it's like a burden that we carry on our shoulders. That wool blanket, a wet wool blanket just thrown over us. The pressure of it. affects us. I had suppressed the sadness so much that I had no access to these feelings. It was a lack of being able to move forward. That was the major signal for me. That's what we want. We want to move forward, but that can be the hardest thing. The hardest thing about getting into action when we're depressed, the hardest thing is getting into action when we're depressed, right? Taking a risk, taking a chance, stepping out, doing things that we know help us feel better, right? We can use those tools. We can use those tools. Having blood relatives with depression, having other mental health issues like anxiety or bipolar disorder, using drugs or alcohol we talked about, and the depressant that drugs and alcohol can be to us. Having a serious or chronic illness can cause depression. That when we're very, very sick, right, can get us in a state of depression. Taking certain medications like sleeping pills can bring us down. Living in a region of the world where winters are long and summers are short, right? So these are some of the risk factors. When we fall into these, we have a greater probability of having depression. So the cool thing about this is when I get this kind of information, I don't feel like I'm alone. I don't feel like I'm alone. When I have the information I need that says, I'm not the only one that feels this way. Right? That blew my mind the first time I heard that, the first time I understood that I wasn't unique in this feeling. So many other people had it. Mary says not having enough me time, woosha, is enough for depression. Yeah, we're going to talk about that as one of our solutions today. Me time, self-care. So, depression is real. We are not alone in our depression because many, many people experience it. When I know the risk factors, I'm more likely to understand what's going on. If I am having an issue around low self-esteem, I can identify that may be one of the issues, one of the characteristics, one of the factors of what makes me more eligible for depression. So I need to be aware of these things. Depression can run in our families. Depression can be a chemical imbalance that has nothing to do with our person, our soul, our heart, but affects our body, right? Which affects our mind and our heart. So when I know these things, I don't feel alone because, like it says, being a woman, there are a lot of us out there, and more women are diagnosed than men. So what do we do about it? That's the question, right? That is the question. Jennifer says, my symptoms didn't fit the image I had in my mind for depression. Therefore, it took me a while to recognize my own situation. When I have information about what it looks like, what it is, how it acts, that gives me power. Remember, this class is called Keep Your Power. And that's what we want to do. We want to get that power back, which seems so far away when we're depressed. So, some tips. Recovering from depression requires action, but taking action when depressed is hard. That's that catch-22. That's that thing where what I really need is to do A, B, and C, but I'm so exhausted and sad and overwhelmed, frustrated, in a brain fog that I can't to get into action. That's that issue with depression. What I need to do most, I don't feel like I can because of the characteristics of what I'm going through, what I am feeling and thinking and doing, right? So, a suggestion is to start small with these. The first thing we're going to talk about is supportive relationships. So if I look at, I need to create a support network that will help me with my depression. That's big. That's big, right? It can be overwhelming. How am I going to create a support network? How am I going to get out and do this when I'm so depressed I can't get out of bed? Right? So start small. Start small. We're going to have some suggestions for starting small in a second. When I see an elephant, one bite at a time, one step at a time. That's how I get to where I want to go. One step at a time. One step at a time. So getting support we need is a big role for lifting the fog of depression and keeping it away. On our own power, it is difficult to pull ourselves out of depression. On your own, it can be difficult to maintain perspective and sustain an effort to beat depression. That energy that we get from other people. But that reaching out is so hard. When I am in a phase of I don't want to do anything, I don't want to see anyone, I just want to sleep, or I just want to watch TV, or I just want to do something that keeps us in that space, right? So sometimes we may, when we're talking about, when we're approaching someone, whether we're thinking about who we want in our support network, we may feel ashamed, too exhausted to talk, or guilty for neglecting the relationship. So shame, exhaustion, and guilt. These feelings can overwhelm us. Guilt, shame, regret can be a big part of depression. So what we want to do, turn to trusted friends and family members. Share what we're going through to those that love us. Right? That can be hard because a lot of times in the beginning of recovery, and sometimes long into it, we don't have a lot of trusted friends and family members. That's why we got to go out and find some people, right? It is my responsibility to grow my tribe. I've got to do it. I always say, if anybody comes to your door and knocks on it and says, "Hi, I'm here to be your friend," close the door. They're not there to be your friend. We've got to go out. We've got to take the risk necessary to try to find those people, right? But it's hard. It's very hard. We want to try to keep up activities, even if we don't feel like it, even though we don't feel like it. But if I stay on schedule, if I can do those activities that I'm accustomed to, I'm going to feel better. I am going to receive that energy from other people, from showing up. They told me to suit up and show up. And I have to do that even today. So keep up with those social activities. Be aware of them and stay in contact. Join a support group for depression. Help from other people who experience the same. the same situation can help us greatly. That peer-to-peer, sitting with someone that can actually say, I know, and truly know what it's like. That is powerful. Peer-to-peer support is so powerful because it gives us hope. It gives us hope because if you can do it, maybe I can do it. Right? So, one support group that you may be interested in is DBSA. They have like several meetings here in Charlotte. So it's Depression Bipolar Support Alliance, DBSA. And they're great groups because it is a gathering of people with similar experiences. And as they share solution in their life, they give hope for solution in other people's lives. That's that peer-to-peer. I understand because I've been there. I know what it feels like for me to be depressed. Right? Okay. Things we can do to reach out and build relationships. Talk to one person about our feelings. If we have one trusted friend, that's a good thing. Somebody that has the ability to tell us the truth about what they see is going on with us, what they understand is going on with us. So when we talk to somebody about our feelings, first of all, it gets that mud out. It gets that mud out. And it helps to vent. It helps to get that out of us. To talk to somebody who can say, you know what, I don't know if I agree with that because you are a great person, because you are worthy. So getting that perspective from other people is very helpful. Mary says depression can also be found resulting from effects of being under oppression of any forms. Absolutely. For example, being in a very bad work environment or religious cult still have their lingering effects on any one of us, especially me. Absolutely. Those that oppression, we talked about different groups that are more susceptible. And a lot of that has to do with oppression. When we are limited in our social status, it can cause depression. So, okay, another thing we can do, help someone else by volunteering. If I can get out of myself for a minute, it helps. So volunteering somewhere, doing something for someone else. And it can be as simple as opening a door for someone. Doing something kind for someone else can lift our spirits, right? Have lunch or coffee with a friend. Ask a loved one to check in on you regularly. That's a good idea for people that love us and that we love to just do a check-in. How you doing? What's going on? How can I help? Those are really important things, right? Those are really important things to ask. Accompany someone to movies, a concert, or a small get-together. Go with a friend. Go somewhere with a friend. Get out of the house. Do something. And again, that's the hardest. But when we're with somebody else, like when I would think about working out, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to work out. And then, 4 o'clock comes and I'm like, I'm kind of tired and all that. But when I had a partner in my exercise, somebody came with me and kept me accountable. That helped tremendously. That energy from another person can pull us out. Call or email an old friend, somebody you used to know, somebody that used to support you. You know, maybe years since you've talked to them, but that's all right. Give them a yell. See what they're up to. See if there's a way that they can help or that you can help them. Okay. Schedule a weekly dinner date. Schedule something that happens every week. Remember, stay up with those social activities. Schedule a weekly dinner date. Schedule coffee with a friend every Wednesday at 3. I want to sit down. We're going to sit down and have some coffee and just chat. Right? Can help. Can help. Meet new people by taking a class or joining a club. CharlotteMeetup.com is awesome. I always talk about this. So if you are looking to join a group of people, CharlotteMeetup.com has your group. I can almost guarantee it. I always say if you like underwater crochet, they probably have a group for it. If you like to bowl, go to movies, talk philosophy, go out to dinner, or go to a game, whatever it is, find your group, find your people, right? And when I go in to a group of people that have similar interests as me, say it's bowling, go to a group that is excited about bowling, I've got something in common with these people. It's easier for me to break through that fear of talking to somebody else. So when we join a group, it helps. It helps. Can counselor, therapists, or clergy members. Sometimes we need to kick it up a notch. Sometimes my depression is so bad, I've got to reach out to a professional, and that's okay with me today. That's very okay with me today. I accept help from just about anywhere, right? I am willing today to do whatever it is that can help me get out of this slump, that can help pull me out of depression. Okay, so we talked about support. Key in recovering from depression. Getting that energy from other people can be so helpful when our energy is so low. Okay, number 2, challenge negative thinking. Let's see. Jennifer says, hell yes to the scheduling something. I will totally avoid doing so many things, but if I know someone else is waiting for me there, I will be for sure more likely to do it. Absolutely. When I'm accountable to somebody else, right? It was just like going to a meeting. The hardest thing about going to a meeting is getting to a meeting, right? But when I knew I had to pick somebody up, or I knew I had to meet somebody at the meeting, I was more likely to go, right? Because I was trying to be accountable to somebody else. Tanisha, yes, if you look up, and if you just Google or whatever you use, I'm old, I still Google, Depression Bipolar Support Alliance, Charlotte, it will give you information on the groups that meet here. And like I said, there are several different times of the day. So they can meet our need no matter what our work schedule is, no matter what our best time of the day is. So Depression Bipolar Support Alliance is an awesome group. Tanisha, look it up. And if you don't get it, let me know. Okay. Challenging negative thinking is another one. Depression puts a negative spin on everything, including the way we see ourselves, the situation we encounter, and our expectations of the future. It stifles us. It leans us towards the negative. So it says, but you can't break out of this pessimistic mind frame by just thinking positive. Happy thoughts or wishful thinking won't cut it. Rather, the trick is to replace negative thoughts with more balanced thoughts. We have grooves in our brain, all those things that I'm accustomed to thinking that have to do with low self-esteem, that have to do with the depression and the exhaustion and the frustration and all that stuff. All that stuff. I've got to do something to shift my thinking. And these grooves in my brain are there because I've done this over and over and over again. I felt this way. I thought this way. I felt this way. Over and over and over again. I get those messages that I may have learned when I was younger that I'm not worthy, right? That I'm broken. Those things that can come to us, those thoughts and feelings that can infringe on our joy, right? So one thing we can do, we got new messages. What we got? Tanisha says, thank you. You're welcome. Think outside yourself. When I think outside myself, when I actually care about someone else and interact with them because I care, if I can do something for someone else, it makes me feel better. It helps me pull myself out of that depression. These are actions we can take, right? We're talking about action, and more action. We want to be able to do to get ourselves out of depression. We must do, I must do, to get on the other side of that mountain. Allow yourself to be less than perfect. Many depressed people are perfectionists, holding themselves to impossibly high standards and then beating themselves up when we fail. Yeah. A lot of us are perfectionists. A lot of us have a standard for ourselves that is unachievable. Right? I can relate to that because when I get into those modes, especially when I am depressed, I think of all the negative things. I think all the things I haven't done, all the things I should have done, could have done, would have done, but didn't do. I beat myself up because I'm not perfect. And that just adds to the depression. That just adds to the depression. Socialize with positive people. Get that energy. I need to be around people that make me feel good. I need to be around people that make me laugh. That's my key. That's my rope out of depression. Laughter. So when I socialize with positive people, I am getting that of someone who has the energy to give, right? I'm tapped out. I'm exhausted. I'm frustrated. I can't seem to take a step. But when I hang around people, when I do those things with other people, it helps. But I've got to be around positive people. I know how to be depressed. I don't need you to tell me how to be depressed. I need you to tell me how to be happy. I need you to tell me what you do to help yourselves, right? So being around positive people is critical. And you know what? There was a time when I had a lot of negative people in my life. A lot of people that drug me down, right? And I had to decide, because it is a decision, who I hang out with. I am capable of making that choice because I've only got so much time and so much energy. And I want to be able to use that in a way that is effective. So I want to hang with people that make me happy. I don't need to hang with people that bring me down anymore. because it's a choice today. I can choose my support group. I can choose my tribe. That's a beautiful thing. And not everybody gets to come to my party, right? So we go for those positive people. Let's see. Aaron, I need to be around supportive people also. Sharon, positive, funny, caring, and honest. Absolutely. Reaching out to people that are honest with us is part of that being positive. Sometimes I don't see myself. I don't see my thoughts and emotions and actions in a way that is noticeable to me. Sometimes I do things I don't even know I'm doing. With the help of friends and support people, family or dear friends, whoever it is, we can get that information that we need to pull ourselves out of that. Keeping a negative thought log, identifying patterns is important to me. Identifying patterns. Because if I can pay attention to what's going on, I can maybe change it. Right? When I identify, I do this, and this when I'm depressed. I want to flip that and do something different today. Right? So I want to be around, I want to improve my social connection because it helps. It just helps. We're not going to be able to get up through all these, but that's all right. That's all right. The next thing is to take care of ourselves. Self-care is critical. If I'm not taking care, I'll be better. How can I get to the point where I'm happy again if I am not taking care of my person, my mind, my spirit, my body? How can I get what I need? So we got to take care of ourselves. Aim for 8 hours of sleep. Unique in that. Some people need 6 hours. Some people need 10 hours. Again, you're an expert on yourself. You know how much sleep you need to feel good. So try to arrange that amount as often as possible. So because when I'm rested, I feel better. Expose yourself to a little sunshine each day. We talked about that, the seasonal affective disorder. Get in the sun. It will help us feel better. It's amazing the energy we can get from nature, from the sun, from the trees, from the grass, from the lake. Good stuff. Practice relaxation techniques. Practice those coping skills that help us. Right? I want to be able, when I'm in this state, I want to be able to grab a hold of something that helps me feel better. I'm going to tell you real quick about a wellness toolbox. A wellness toolbox is an actual box that's filled with things that can help me feel better, right? I have one in my living room, and inside I've got funny movies, I've got CDs, I've got chocolate, right? Kick up the happy juices. I've got pictures, and I've got cards, and I've got things that make me happy, things that can shift me. Things that can shift me. Let's see. Care for a pet. Animals make a big difference. Animals and kids show us true joy, right? Animals and kids. So when I can take care of an animal and connect with that energy, it helps. It definitely helps. Do things we enjoy or used to enjoy. Sometimes I can't think. Now, let me tell you, in my wellness toolbox, there is a list list of things that I can do to feel better. Because when I'm in that space, I cannot think. That's why I've got to get something tangible. I've got to get something concrete to hold on to look at and say, okay, let me use this tool right here to get to a better space, right? So those are items we can use, things. And the actual act of going to that wellness toolbox is helpful. So we want to do things we enjoy. And like I said, sometimes that's hard to identify. Sometimes I've got to go back to my childhood. What did I just enjoy as a kid? Was it reading? Was it going to movies? What was it? What was it that made you feel good? Do it again. I tried to swing on a swing because I used to love that when I was a kid. Freaked me out. So be careful. Some of us are really old. So, all right. Where do you, Tanisha says, where do you find supportive people when you don't have natural support? DBSA, charlottemeetup.com. Where else? The bowling alley, the library. Well, not really the library. You can't talk at the library. But wherever people gather is where I need to be, right? Where people with different energy are. I want to be around them so that I can feel better. So where do we find supportive people? We find them at PRN. We find them at anywhere. We never know when we're going to run into our future best friend. Be open is what I can suggest. Just be open to the thought of getting close to someone. Right? That's a big part of it. Well, we are almost out of time. I want to thank you all so much. I want to thank the crowd. Let me see what else. Oh, Tanisha says you'll find them every day here at PRN. Jennifer put a swing in her pantry. It is the best. Not those big ones that you can, it's good stuff. Rocking is good. All those things that help us physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. We've got to take action today. I've got to take action. I've got to do the things that make me feel better so I can feel better. Right? Action, action, more action. I want to thank you all for being here today, especially my friends that have been chatting. I want to encourage us all to find our tribe, find our people. Do those things that increase the probability that we'll find people with the energy that we need. Remember, it's not about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. Like I said, some of us don't have bootstraps. It's about understanding what we're going through and seeking solution today. The other things that just real quick, get regular exercise, eat healthy, mood-boosting diet, know when we need additional help, know when it's to the point where I need to kick it up a notch, see a professional. Or boots, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for being here today. I hope you got some information, and I hope it helped. I will see you next week for Keep Your Power. It's all about the power today. Let's see, 10 o'clock on Friday. We'll see you later. Thanks for being here today.